Hello everyone, this is AndresRestart, and it's looking like Nintendo's plan to have a Nintendo Direct about Switch 1 this February has gotten out there. But this information could have some serious implications not just for the future of Switch 1, but Switch 2 as well, and that's what we're going to get into today. Now before diving into things here, let me briefly take this moment to ask that if you do find yourself enjoying my content, to please subscribe and hit that notification bell. So this information is coming from Brazil on Fami boards. For those who don't know, Brazil, or PH Brazil, is known as a journalist who has leaked out different plans or different things going on with Nintendo, and oftentimes has proven to be correct. For example, Brazil talked about a variety of Nintendo Direct presentations happening in August, and what happened at the end of August? A variety of Nintendo Direct presentations. Now, of course, when we're talking about things that haven't happened yet, they are subject to change. So, things that have been said by Brazil in the past, not all of it has come to fruition, but I think that often enough it has, to the point where we can trust what Brazil is saying here, but still, we should temper expectations and take it with the knowledge knowing that we're hearing about this now, plans could change come this February. Anyways, this is what was said. PowerPixel was talking about a Nintendo Direct in February, and Brazil responded by saying, "There will be a February, but from my understanding, Switch 1 focused Direct. Might end up being just another partner showcase with a single couple of first-party games shown, if even that, though. The Xeno X announcement makes me think that Nintendo doesn't care too much about showcasing these later ports in Direct presentations." And the information here, at face value, may not seem that substantial. We're hearing about a Direct in February, where we usually get a Direct, and that it'll be Switch 1 focused, like all Directs have been throughout the Switch generation. But I think once you start to consider the other circumstances here, it becomes a bigger deal. Because there's a lot of debate right now that the June Nintendo Direct that we got this year is going to be the last Switch 1 focused Direct. Now you might be saying, well, we got multiple presentations in August, you just mentioned them. Yes, one of them was a Museum Direct, and the others were a combo live stream of the Indie World Showcase and a partner Nintendo Direct. And earlier this year, back in February, we also just got a partner showcase. For most of the years during the Switch era, we've gotten a major general Nintendo Direct, not a partner, not a mini, in the February period. This year, we got a partner. June, we usually get a Direct, this time we did, and then in September, we get a normal general Direct. This time, there was no such Direct, and everything was in August, and none of it was a general. So things are very out of the ordinary right now. Typically, we get 3 general Directs in the year, we've only just gotten 1. It was a banger, but it was just 1. And so you might be wondering, why is that exactly? A lot of us are assuming it has all to do with the transition over to Nintendo Switch 2. And when looking at the games that have come out this year, it's pretty evident that Nintendo's main teams are working on other projects. Most games that came out this year were made in tandem with Nintendo's partners, but not entirely Nintendo developers themselves. And there's even been a common sentiment that the games that have been coming out from Nintendo this year, from a critical acclaim perspective, are not really as great as prior years. There hasn't been any 90 plus Metacritic Nintendo games. They've all been in the 80s, if not lower. And I'm not really trying to argue this as a bad thing. I think it's just a situation where Nintendo is putting out a lot of remasters, and they're putting out games that are good, but they're not their biggest, most ambitious efforts, so they're not going to review as well. There is a correlation there. But at least with the June Direct, there were 3 major new Nintendo games to show off: Mario Party, Zelda, and Mario & Luigi. Right now, we're not sure what else is left that Nintendo would show off in a Nintendo Direct for Switch 1 only that wouldn't be a remaster. Now you could say, well, there's Pokemon Legends ZA. Yeah, that is a Switch 1 game, and according to the Terra leaks, there's only a Switch 1 version. Now once we see the game in a Pokemon Presents of some kind, then I think we could start seeing trailers and even directs. But beyond Pokemon, we also have Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. However, a lot of us are speculating that that's likely going to be a cross-gen title, and perhaps Nintendo is holding off on showing this game until we're closer to the Switch 2 reveal. Perhaps during or after the reveal, they're saving this game. They're not using it to bolster any more Switch 1 only directs. And looking at how they did just recently announce Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, another remaster, a fantastic one, but just that, a remaster, and they didn't have it in a direct of any kind, it does have you wondering, okay, well, what if all we're going to get moving forward is just remasters for Switch 1, updates on Pokemon Legends ZA and Prime 4, but beyond that, it's just going to be big Switch 2 games. Just so I'm clear, because I think some people might get confused, I'm not saying there won't be more remasters coming to Switch 1, I think there's going to be a lot of remasters coming, but maybe we've seen the end of Switch 1 only original games outside of Prime 4 and Legends ZA. And so as Brazil suggested with his post on Famiboards, maybe how Nintendo is going to be handling things moving forward, we're only going to be getting remasters announced in either partner showcases or separately on Twitter, and the bigger presentations are going to have Switch 2 games. Now, these bigger presentations may still have Switch 1 related announcements, especially the ones in 2025 that are including Pokemon Legends ZA and Prime 4, and they may also want to still show off some of those remasters because the Switch 2 would be backwards compatible, but Switch 1 would no longer be the main focus. I think it's interesting going back to 2017 because we did have presentations that included information on both 3DS and Switch, but those presentations did not last very long. And there's been a lot of questions about Nintendo's schedule for next year. In January, we have the remastered Donkey Kong Country Returns. In March, we have Xenoblade Chronicles X. But there's been no February game announced. Now, maybe we see that February game announced fairly soon, perhaps within the next couple weeks, or maybe as a surprise announcement at the Game Awards. They did that with Bayonetta Origins a couple years back. But if that doesn't happen, we might be looking at a vacancy for February, which we haven't seen in a very long time in terms of Nintendo published games. And it could be a sign that the rate of releases of Nintendo published titles on Switch 1 is going to start to slow down next year. Maybe we're only seeing a remaster come out for Switch 1 every other month. So perhaps there won't be an April game from Nintendo, but maybe something in May, and so on. And if that's the case, that's even less reason to have major directs that are just about Switch 1. Now, there will likely still be a variety of third-party games, and there may still be the occasional Nintendo-published title that's made by a partner that Nintendo would see as a fitting announcement in a partner showcase, kind of like Endless Ocean Luminous earlier this year. So I think partner showcases could still be happening for Switch 1, but the general Switch 1 Direct may be no more, as we've been thinking for a while already. But then if this is the case, it raises the question, when will Nintendo come back to the major direct that would include Switch 2? Well, we first need to get a reveal, and right now the jury's out on when exactly that might happen. All we know is that it's going to happen before the end of the fiscal year, and since Nintendo hasn't revealed it up to this point, as I've discussed in the past, I'm no longer expecting it this year. You never know for sure, but at this point I'm thinking it's January or later. And so with that assumption, there's a 3-month window there, but if there's going to be a Switch 1 focused partner showcase in February, where does Nintendo position the Switch 2 reveal? And there have been a few different indicators that the Switch 2 isn't that far off. Many still believe the Switch 2 could be coming out in the first half of 2024. So if that's the case, we could be talking about more than just a trailer for Switch 2 when we get this reveal. It might be something as significant as a Switch 2 dedicated direct. So do we see a partner showcase in February about Switch 1 things, and then a bigger presentation about Switch 2 things, revealing the console and games all in one place in March? That could be, although I feel like that might be a bit too much all at once. So let me suggest another possibility here. Maybe in January, a couple weeks removed from December, so mid to late January, we actually get the Switch 2 reveal. And the timing of this would work out relatively well, because this would allow Nintendo to also be able to market their console at the Super Bowl. They had a major Switch 1 Super Bowl commercial, and as Switch 2 is going to be a first half of 2025 release, it kind of makes sense to start showing off the console before February so they can start advertising it at places like the Super Bowl. And then maybe in February we start to see some commercials and there are some different things being said, and we have that Switch 1 partner showcase. But then in March, we get a big direct, fully detailing everything we need to know about Switch 2, and the console launches in May. That seems pretty conceivable to me, but that's just one possibility on how things may shake out. What do you think? What do you make of Nintendo's future plans regarding the directs? Let me know in the comments below. This is AndresRestart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.